Hello, brains. So since almost the beginning of this channel, I've been going to conventions about ADHD, talks about ADHD, meetups with other people with ADHD. This is my world, right? ADHD. I've thought about and talked to other people with ADHD about how cool it would be to have a big event where people with ADHD could come, meet up, connect, like find support, find connection, learn about their ADHD, and have that event be like incredibly ADHD friendly. Last year at the International ADHD Conference, which is great because you get to connect with all these people with ADHD, you get to learn about ADHD, but it's still a conference in a hotel. It's not the most ADHD friendly thing in the world. I went to a dinner where somebody said, we're doing that. We're making a conference that is ADHD friendly. Would you like to come speak? And I was like, yeah, this is how it went. I was really curious to see how this would go. This was going to be the first conference of this type ever. Like, there is no other conference that was trying to do what this conference did. I also wanted to support because it's such an ambitious thing, and not just ADHD friendly. They wanted to make this conference neurodivergent friendly, which I can tell you is no small feat. Trying to make a conference work for both my brain and my ADHD partner's brain, not an easy thing to do, because the kinds of environments that I thrive in, that I feel comfortable in, where I feel like my needs are supported, are very different from the types of environments where he feels like his needs are taken into account. What I expected, or what I hoped to find, was a conference that was accessible to people with different neurotypes. I'm really big on accessibility right now. I have a video about making life doable, which I ended up turning into a keynote that I gave at this event that I was very proud of. But I took my production team with me so that we could film this event and see what are they doing, what did they do right, where did it go wrong, and more importantly, would I recommend that you go? So I get there, and the first thing I notice is how easy it is to find registration. I walk in, and it's in a warehouse. It's one big room, but as soon as you walk in the door, there is registration. The number of conventions where I've almost melted down because I cannot find where registration is because it's off site or it's on the 18th floor. Like, it's in a really weird tucked away place. It's happened so many times where I'm like at a convention, I'm already running late, which by the way, I was. He texted me, he's like, morning, see you here at 8:30 at 8:26. And I was like, leaving the hotel now, be there in a few minutes. Communication, guys, communication. If you're gonna be late, just tell people. And the second thing I noticed was there were lots of tables with lots of really cool stuff, like swag. At other events, there's like merch you can buy, but here it was like, you're at the event and you get this stuff just for being there. There's your badge, and then you get a lanyard. And by the way, not just one lanyard, but 2 lanyards. I'll get to that in a bit. Here's a little bag. There were books, notebooks. Here's a water bottle if you need water. There was a stuffy. Is this like the mascot? I love it. That'll be great later if they choose it. And the stickers were not like generic stickers like, oh, we heard you're a neurodivergent. Is this what a neurodivergent would like? Yes, I'm listening. No, I can't make eye contact. Normal is a setting for washing machines. I came, I saw, I forgot what I was doing. It was clear that they were created by somebody who was neurodivergent. And by the way, I did get to talk to this artist. That conversation probably changed my life. Having people guide you through this experience and make sure that your needs are met, even as you're walking in the door, was just such a hugely different experience than I've ever had at a convention before. Any other convention I've ever been to has been like, oh, you have needs? We'll sell you solutions. This was like anticipating your needs. Even in the bathroom, like there were baskets of whatever you might have needed, including like hair ties, like just really thoughtful details. This is something I've never seen anybody think of, but my God, at a neurodivergent conference, the ability to grab a hair tie, because you probably lost yours, and pull your hair up off of your neck where it is bothering you because sensory sensitivities, this might be the most ADHD friendly, neurodivergent friendly this conference did. Do it next year. Guys, if you're watching this, every year. This is amazing. And these are good. These are good ones that don't like pull on your hair. I'm taking this. I think the only thing they sold at the event was food. Everything else was just provided for. There were volunteers. There was fun already. Like, as soon as you walked in, the energy of the space was incredibly welcoming. There were different ways to sit. There were chairs. There were benches. There were also like these multicolored like hammock chair type things that you could curl up in. But there were also tables that you could sit around and do crafts. It was also really loud. As I made my way past the registration desk, I noticed that there was a marching band. This was a party. At which point I was like, I'm really glad there's a quiet room. Wish that it was closer to the entrance. I had to go past the marching band to get to the quiet room. Full disclosure, it was an attempt at a quiet room in the corner of a warehouse. So that was already going to be a challenge to make a quiet space. But also people with ADHD were in this quiet room, which meant it was no longer quiet.
Appeared on us.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Thankfully, like, I'm not somebody who needs quiet, and they did have earplugs on site as well. It was overwhelming, but in a way that felt manageable to me because I had choice. I could easily step outside. I could change out my lanyard. Green is chatty Cathy. You can approach me. I might approach you. Yellow means what?
Let me approach you.
It doesn't mean like nobody talk to me. It just means like don't talk to me unless I initiate.
Yeah.
Part of the time, I really love people coming up to me. I love hearing from the community. I love getting to connect in person with other people with ADHD. So most of the time, that's the lanyard I had on. But I kept the other one tucked in my pocket. It kind of feels like the extroverted part of me writes checks that the introverted part of me can't cash. The extroverted part of me is like, yes, talk to me, all the things, like, let's have a party. And the introverted part of me is like, what did you sign us up for? The fact that I could switch out my lanyard and be like, nah, never mind, without having to explain, without having to tell anybody was just amazing. There was flexibility. You could listen to a talk without the headphones on, or you could put the silent disco type headphones on so that you could more clearly focus on the talk you were listening to, which is great if you have sensory processing issues. It also felt like they kind of anticipated FOMO. And so there were fewer events happening at the same time, and they were all kind of happening in the same area. So it wasn't like if you went to this talk, now you have to like go all the way across to the other side of the hotel for a different talk. I think part of that is it just being a smaller convention. So we'll see how that goes in the future. But there were also activities that really dug into the pain of it. There was one activity that was really cool where people took masks and wrote on the inside of the mask what parts of them they don't let people see. On the outside, it was what parts do they show the world? Like, what parts do I show the world and what parts of me do I mask? On the outside, independent, but what is masked? Breathtakingly alone. A lot of women mask the fact that they're smart. It's interesting seeing like what women mask versus what men. Like I can tell which ones of these are female and which one of them are male. Wow, they didn't feel comfortable saying what they were masking. Some people aren't ready to unmask. Each one represented a human. Even though it was this like party and the celebration of how our minds work, it also acknowledged the realities of what it's like to live with that in this world. It was a really great balance, I thought, between fun and like levity and depth. So I interviewed a lot of people who were at the event in a quieter space, which was our car. And I asked them the same questions. Why did I go? And then what was their experience like? What brought you to the conference?
The founder, Chris Guillebeau, created called World Domination Summit. It was the single best conference that I've ever been to in my life. The guy just knows how to create magical experiences for people. I really believe in what this is. I think this needs to exist in the world. Like I want to be a part of this and I want to see it grow.
When Chris Guillebeau reached out to me and he said, I'm trying to do something like World Domination Summit, I was like, all right, I'm in. And then when he mentioned that it had to do with neurodivergent, I was like, oh, I'm definitely in.
Chris asked me if I would speak at this conference. I thought, I really want to support younger people in creating a place for neurodivergent folks that feels different. And there's more of a sort of casual feel to it. Like they really want you to kind of share who you are.
Gary Ware introduced me to the neurodivergent community. I told him, I was like, I'm looking for a little bit of illustration work. They were like, can you come up with a few sticker concepts? Came up with the words first, got those approved, and then I came up with visuals to go with them next. We were able to produce these really beautiful stickers and then the cover for the book.
One of the things I keep coming back to, being with my people and being with my good friends and being with my community, is just that, it's community. And I think that is one of the most beneficial pieces of coming to a conference like this or any conference on ADHD or neurodivergence. We all know and talk about how incredibly important and healing and supported, just critical it is to be with people who get it and who get us, who we can be 100% ourselves with. And I feel like they've done a really good job of trying to keep that focus of community.
So I flew all the way from Australia because there's not like a big ADHD community in Australia. And it is a lonely ride. And I was like, I'm going to come here. I'm going to see if I connect with people. And then I just found exactly the people that I wanted to connect with. It was awesome.
Quick. 3 words about this conference.
Inspiring, creative, together. I was talking to this one gal that I just met for the first time. And she was telling me how she met you and how your story was the opposite of her story.
That's Molly, and she destroyed me. After talking to her, I went and I started sobbing.
Molly was one of like a dozen stories of people just talking about how they feel so seen and so heard. Yeah. And that just means so much.
I've talked at a lot of conferences. I've been to a lot of conferences, been sent to a lot of conferences. And it is a conference, but like it genuinely feels like when I show up, I'm like, oh no, I'm just getting to see my friends give the talks that they give at other conferences. A lot of times I go to those conferences for specifically how much useful information will I be able to like glean out of this. And I'm like, I'm going to prioritize deepening existing friendships and like making like a couple new friendships over professional networking. Like I wore a hoodie to give a talk. And the reason why I hadn't done my makeup was because I was so distracted talking to cool people. I feel like this is the least judgy group of people I've ever been around. That like outside time, like the time that people are spending socializing outside feels like just as important as what you're learning at the talks on the inside.
It's a first year event, so there's a lot of things to iron out, but you can also look at it as it has so much potential. This is like a seed. It's not like a seed, it's like a sprout.
It's less formal in terms of speaking. You know, I come to Chad, I'm a professional psychologist. There are a lot of other professional psychologists and social workers and therapists and physicians and psychiatrists. And then there are, you know, of course, the people who are attending. And this is a little bit more blended. And I felt that I was able to take some personal risks in my keynote that I don't normally do. It's good for me to be outside of my comfort zone and practice adapting. Ultimately, what makes the difference is your authenticity. And that's what I brought.
So what did you expect coming in?
Nothing. I actually set an intention to have zero expectations. Like, I really hate networking, like as a thing, but I really love connecting with people. And I think when the two cross paths too intensely, it's kind of weird and it's kind of awkward. And everyone's like, oh, do you have an agenda? Do I have an agenda? And stuff like that. So I was like, I'm not saying
Do I have an agenda? Like, I don't even know.
I'm like, I'm unsure, but at this point, I'm so lost in it, I don't even know what I'm doing here anymore. So I was like, I'm not going to set any expectations. I am like not going to try and get anything from this, and I'm going to see what happens when that happens. And as a result, I got way more than I would have expected if I tried to. And it's so cool.
This is the first conference I've been to where the focus is solely or primarily the neurodivergent human. The vibe is very cool. It's very welcoming. I've gone to some of the sessions. I wish I'd made it to more of the sessions, but part of why I didn't make it to sessions was because I was having amazing conversations with people. And I learned so much from those, and I get so inspired by those, and I get so fed by those. Yes, I would love to make it to every single session because all of them sound interesting, but it's also okay that I'm missing them because I'm missing them for something really awesome too.
I am a creative person and have always seen myself as creative. And because of that, it's like, if something doesn't work for me, I'll come up with a solution that works for my unique brain, right?
Yeah.
The challenge with that is that I didn't have some of the technical language that helped me to understand what I was actually experiencing. And sometimes I feel like, ugh, what's wrong with me? Like, something's wrong with me. And I feel like coming to this conference was like, all these people are just like me. What I am experiencing is normal. And that is beautiful to, one, have better language to describe what I was experiencing, but then two, be able to brainstorm with other people tactics that make sense, you know?
I had a chance to talk to the organizer of this event, and he didn't do it alone. He had a whole team. He had a lot of volunteers working with him. I really love what he said, which is that he wanted it to be a celebration of neurodivergence. And that really came through. In public spaces, a lot of times people with ADHD feel at best tolerated. At worst, like, we are not allowed to be there. And so we have to like pretend we don't have ADHD and that we fit into neurotypical society and neurotypical norms. It kind of feels like you're having to shave pieces of yourself off just to be able to exist in this classroom, in this conference, in this whatever. This felt like it was encouraging us to have ADHD. It was a loud environment, which encouraged us to be loud. It felt like a celebration of neurodivergence. It felt like a celebration of ADHD, and they wanted it to be magical. And it did. It felt magical. Like, there were a lot of really cool moments that happened there that I feel like wouldn't have happened in a different space. One of the people I ran into almost right away was Danny Donovan, one of my best friends. We've done videos together. She put it really well. At the International ADHD Conference, we would often like break off from the main convention and have our like little side conversations, or like hole up in a hotel room and have our little side party with other people that we already knew. This felt like one giant hotel room party. This felt like, oh, let's talk and talk about what we learned in this session and connect and just have fun and hang out without having to leave the convention floor. Everybody was invited to the hotel room because the whole conference was that. I am glad that I didn't share it yet, though, because while it was a really incredible, magical event for a lot of people with ADHD, there were some people there who had ADHD or who were just autistic who it wasn't as accessible for. The Lanyards helped with the overwhelm of people coming up to you and trying to socialize, but that wasn't the only thing that was overwhelming about the conference. It was loud. There was lots going on, lots of movement. There wasn't really a place to escape from that. Even Chris, who put the conference on, admitted that like they've got some work to do in terms of making it truly neurodivergent friendly instead of just ADHD friendly.
We always want to improve and grow, and we 100% know, there are some things we can do different and better. And so that is the intention. Let's do more of what's working, and let's see what we can do to tweak, to provide the best possible experience.
This was a prototype. This was the first time that they've tried something like this. And so they're going to get feedback and they're going to build on it and improve. So next year, they're hoping will be even better and more accessible to more people who are neurodivergent. What I am confident in saying is this: their goals for the future are amazing. So if you're able to support, do it. If you want to go and connect next year, I will definitely be there. The more people who sign up and support this, the better a job they can do next year and in the years to come. I can't wait to see what this grows into. But also, I wanted my daughter to get to see mom do what she do. I agreed to do a keynote and I put together a whole presentation with my writing buddy, and my daughter got to watch the whole thing. And it was so cool that that was the first event that my daughter got to see mom speak at, because that's the world that I want for her. I want her to grow up in a world that is ADHD friendly. Deirdre Kelly, who helped us create the ADHD friendly rubric, says the future already exists in pockets around the world. If we just know where to look, we can go visit the future. And it felt like I got to take my daughter with me to visit the future. And the future is accessible and the future is welcoming. And in the future, we're allowed to be there, ADHD and all. That was really special. Thank you more than ever to our brain advocates and all our Patreon brains. You are why not only I was able to attend the event, but my production team as well. And something super cool came out of it. We might have a podcast that happens in the back of cars. I think Gary Ware suggested calling it Neurodivergence in Cars Eating Snacks. We'll workshop it. I like that title. Let us know what you think about it. Anyway, like, subscribe, click all the things, and I will see you next video. Bye, brains.